Good morning and good afternoon. Welcome to another episode of Before Coffee. It is our Friday news dump here, I think on the third week of April? Yes, the third week of April. And tomorrow's 420, so I guess not get excited, but get chill for that. No idea. You can get your gummies and sit on the couch and laugh your ass off. Let's get into our headlines today on Before Coffee. Barcelona to get floating desalination plant to help fight drought in northeastern Spain.
And we remember the life of rock and roll legend Dickey.
James Webb Space Telescope's shocking discovery may hint at a hidden exomoon around a failed star.
And California's renewables capacity exceeds their energy needs. And we talk about 420, which is tomorrow.
Why the silence? Why the inaction? It breaks my heart. Malala and Jennifer Lawrence take on the Taliban.
Those stories and more, which is National Garlic Day, April 19th, 2024 on Before Coffee.
Okay, let's go into our first news story. A little update. Yesterday we talked a lot about Spain and the Mediterranean and the olive oil drought and all sorts of bad things are happening because of climate change. And luckily, there are plans, at least for northeastern Spain, to get some water as the droughts intensify. This from AP News. From, I don't know, is it from anybody? It doesn't say of anybody. I guess it's just an update from AP News, just general knowledge that everyone knows. Government mandate. Spain's drought-stricken region of Catalonia will install a floating desalination plant to help the city of Barcelona guarantee its drinking water supply, regional authorities said on Thursday, April 18th. Barcelona already relies on Europe's largest desalination plant for domestic use to compensate over 3 years of below-average rainfall that had led to historic drought made worse by climate change. And a lot of our more kind of like tropical, like avocados, mangoes and stuff, they are grown in Spain. So if I still want to eat some avocados, Spain has to survive, because importing from Mexico is a bit harder to do than importing from Spain. Now, Spain's largest city will get a temporary second desalination plant in its port later this year. I have a feeling this temporary plant is not going to be very temporary. David Mascort, who heads the regional environmental authority, said the plant is scheduled to start working on in October. It will produce the equivalent of 6% of the city's consumption, compared to almost a quarter of the city's water now produced by Barcelona's permanent desalination plant. Barcelona uses desalination and water purification systems to meet its water needs. The reservoirs that serves 6 million people in central and northern Catalonia, including Barcelona, are at 18% of their capacity. Despite some relief from spring rains, Catalonia has kept in place restrictions under a water emergency declared in February. Those limitations include a daily limit of 200 liters, about 53 gallons per person for domestic use, and a reduction in average water used by 80% for crops irrigation, 50% for herd animals, and 25% for any other industry. Mascort said the additional drinking water should help avoid, or at least push back, the need for lighter water restrictions in the fall. He added that the floating desalination plant will make it unnecessary to bring in extra supplies of water by boat, as had been initially considered. Wow. So they've been restricted to, 200 liters of water, or 53 gallons. How much water does an American use daily? Just want to compare. Right? I'm sure the Netherlands uses a lot of water too, but it's a bigger country, or a smaller country than Spain. Does this give me an actual info, or just...
I was talking with my mic off.
Each American uses an average of 82 gallons of water a day, according to 2015. So that's probably reasonable. No, that's not reasonable. half of what a normal American uses. And this is not including places that actually need water, like Arizona and, well, most of the Mojave Desert region needs water. Otherwise, you can't live there. And Spain, I think, is probably almost, if not similarly, climatized as the Mojave. So, yeah, they're using less water than the average American, according to the EPA.gov statistics. I have no idea how much water I'm using a day. I feel like I drink a lot of water, but I don't take showers every day. I know. That's almost illegal for a person with melanin, but it's not warm here, right? No, it's serious. It's a real thing. Like, if you go on the internet, there will be people screaming, "White people don't take showers every day!" Ah! And it's like, well, here's the difference. One, you live in a hot climate, so you're sweating all day. I understand why you want to wash it off, every day to get that sweat off. A lot of white people live in the northern climates, where right now it's freezing for me. I haven't sweat in like 8 months. Why the hell would I be needing to take a shower every single day? Also, we have what do you call these things? The French invented them.
Bidets?
Yes, we have bidets, so I don't need to take a full-on shower to clean myself. I can just use my little hand shower.
That's another use of water that a lot of people don't use, right? If you don't have a bidet, you're just using paper that uses no water.
I guess that's true, but also we have.
Or you're using a baby wipe or something.
Different toilet
that doesn't use any water.
We also have different toilet engineering here, right? Most American toilets fill a bowl of water, whereas most Dutch toilets are just a bowl. And the water comes after.
Oh, if you go to Mexico.
Yeah.
If you go closer, like you go to Mexico, their what is it? Plumbing isn't that great. A lot of countries are like this, and you will not flush your toilet paper because it'll clog the thing up.
When we're in Greece, it was also like that.
So you see the trash can full of shit paper. It's kind of getting the hell out of this place. Anyway, but because we're Americans, we're used to like flushing everything. How do I get rid of my car? I don't know. Flush it down the toilet.
But a lot of hot climates also do have like a bidet system. I know the Philippines. I had a friend who was from the Philippines, and I was like, "Oh, I should visit sometime." And then he said, "Oh yeah, but it might be a culture shock because we don't use toilet paper. We just take the bowl, fill it with water, and then clean ourselves, and then put the bowl back and wash our hands, And yeah, for some people that is a culture shock. It's like, what do you mean you wash your own genitals after you use the bathroom? No, it's like, well, it's cleaner than using toilet paper, to be fair.
For dozens of years, for dozens of years, people would flush, tampons, feminine napkins and stuff, and they're just cotton. They don't degrade at all. They just get in the sewer and clog up the pipes.
Yep.
You definitely don't want them in your septic tank.
Bust the freaking pipe. Yeah.
Yep. So don't flush everything.
So I have no idea what. I mean, I can look up quickly like the Dutch daily water use, but I don't think I use as much as like 82 gallons a day. Like I don't think I'm using that much because, like I said, I don't take. I don't take showers every day. I only use I don't use the bathroom once a day, but I only do number 2 once a day. So I'm not, constantly using that bidet all day.
Okay, everybody's talking about it. Okay. Did we finish the story, or are we just babbling about the water usage?
Yeah, I finished it. I just wanted to. Wanted to compare, the American.
I didn't know if we were working towards a segue.
Daily. Yeah, no, I'm done. That's my story. So if you want to segue.
All right then. From water usage on to, I guess we'll talk about other environmental stuff first. We'll cover Dickey bets in the final segment, or the second segment. In environmental news, because we got to do a segue. California exceeds, this is from electrek.co. Michelle Lewis. California exceeds 100% of energy demand with renewables over a record 30 days. Over 30 days have been doing this. In a major clean energy benchmark, wind, solar, and hydro exceeded 100% of demand on California's main grid for 30 of the past 38 days. Stanford University professor in civil and environmental engineering Mark Mark Z. Jacobson has been tracking California's renewables performance, and he shares his findings on Twitter when the state breaks records. Yesterday he posted, Jacobson notes that the supply exceeds demand for 0.25-6 hours per day, and that is an important fact. The continuity lies not in renewables running the grid for the entire day, but in the fact that it's happening on a consistent daily basis, which has never been achieved before. After a 2-week record mark, Ian Magruder rewiring, that's hard to say. Try saying rewiring without practice. Rewiring America made this great point on LinkedIn. And what makes it even better is that California has the largest grid connection battery storage facility in the world. Came online in January, meaning those batteries were filling up with excess energy from the sun all afternoon today and are now deploying as we speak to offset a good chunk of the methane gas generation that California still uses overnight. On April 2nd, the California Independent System Operator recommended 26 new transmission projects worth $6.1 billion, with a big number being devoted to offshore wind. In response, Jacobson predicted on April 4th that California will be entirely on renewables and battery storage 24/7 by the year 2035. California passed a law that commits to achieving 100% net zero electricity by 2045, and it will beat that by a decade.
Wow.
We hope so. It's going to be exciting to watch. So yes. So again, it's only April, so there's going to be more sun, longer sun later in the year, up until June, right? So for the next, few months, they're even going to get more storage. Well, as long as they keep adding storage capacity, they're going to get more sun. So if you get more sun, you get more capacity or potential to store energy. So they're even going to increase that over the summer. And I'm sure the wind won't stop either. And the water's always moving. And more news related to what day is it today, which is 4/19. Tomorrow's 4/20. And we're going to go to thestartelegram.com. I guess it's a New Jersey paper. How did the mythology of marijuana's most enduring code 420 come to life? This is by Braden Garcia. What is April 20th's relationship with marijuana? This Saturday, the big day for those who partake in weed, pot, reefer, ganja, Mary Jane, and the devil's lettuce. Devil's lettuce. I heard it called hippie lettuce. I don't know what a devil's lettuce. Ooh, you're smoking the devil's lettuce. Let's make a salad. And it's most commonly known for marijuana. Recreational marijuana, which is a government term made to make it sound Mexican. It's totally invented by the government, and we still use it. But medical use is allowed to certain instances. Medical marijuana dispensaries, Texas, originally known as several pickup locations in North Texas. Walk into any gas station or smoke shop, and you'll see them on the shelf, packaged in colorful boxes with flavors like Fruity Pebbles, Magic Mango, and Grape Ape Gusher. Like marijuana, these cannabis-based products deliver high, but unlike marijuana, these products are legal in Texas, thanks to the law that allowed the cultivation of hemp. CBD derived from hemp is legal in Texas. That led to 2 Fort Worth companies to team up. Martin House Brewing Company and Power Biofarms that partner and produce, okay, we're talking about something else, have produced a non-alcoholic seltzer with 5 milligrams of Delta-9 THC. April 20 or 420 has been synonymous with marijuana for decades, but why? But what is the origin of the hazy day? Here's what we know. The most prolific 420 origin story comes out of California, early 1970s. A group of 5 friends obsessed with smoking weed, also known as the Waldos, used to meet outside their San Rafael High School at 4:20 p.m. every day to smoke pot after class and sports practice. The legend goes the Waldos heard the Coast Guard member planted a cannabis plant nearby, but could no longer take care of it. According to History Channel, every day the Waldos would meet at 4:20 p.m. under the school's Louis Pasteur statue to smoke, and then with the treasure map in hand, go out and hunt for the plant. As the story goes, the Waldos never found the unattended bush, but the story lives on and on. Over 5 decades later, their 420 terminology is part of the pop culture lexicon. The Grateful Dead influence. The Waldos may have never found the plant, but they did find one way to one of the biggest bands of all time, the Grateful Dead. In the 1970s, Waldo's had a few connections to the band, and Waldo's dad managed real estate for the band, while another member's older brother was good friends with Phil Lesh, the Dead's bassist. During rehearsals in San Rafael, some of the Waldos would hang out and get high while the band was getting ready for the show. As the legend grew from there. I wonder if the comic strip Where's Waldo came from this. Anyway, probably not. When the Huffington Post tracked down Phil Lesh of the Grateful Dead, he confirmed that he was friends with the Waldos and wouldn't be surprised if the group had coined the 420 term. As the Grateful Dead hit the road in the 80s and 90s, 420 became synonymous with the band's fan base for lighting up the bud. Eventually, High Times reporter Stephen Bloom found a flyer at the 1990 Grateful Dead concert that read, "We're going to meet at 420 on 420 for 420 in Marin County at the Bolinas Ridge sunset spot in Mount Tamalpais," according to the Huffington Post. Bloom, intrigued by the flyer, wrote on it for the High Times in his May 1991 magazine issue. Former High Times editor Steve Hager told the Huffington Post that once the magazine wrote about the origin of 420, they never looked back. The publicity that High Times gave it is what made it an international thing. Until then, it was relatively confined to the Grateful Dead subculture, but we blew it out into an international phenomenon. Other rumors. While the Waldo stories history is among many in the marijuana subculture, other rumors about 420's origins have popped up over the years. Some say 420 is a police code among officers for someone smoking marijuana. It's not. Others have noted more darker origins of April 20, such as Adolf Hitler's birthday and the same date when the Columbine school shooting happened in 1999, according to the Snopes fact check. Rumors even circulated that the Bob Dylan song Rainy Day Women 12 and 35 is responsible for the number, according to Time magazines, since 12 multiplied by 35 equals 420.
Nice.
I don't know who figured it out. It was somebody on the internet told me that. I blew my fucking mind because Rainy Day Women was written in 1966.
Oh.
So Bob Dylan invented 420 didn't even know it. Of course, the chorus on Rainy Day Women 12 and 35 is "Everyone must get stoned." However, the most credible story on the what?
He has spoken. Capital H.
That's right. Bob Dylan invented 420. Don't forget it. That's right. He is Bob Dylan, our Jesus. Thank you very much, Jesus, for the guidance. However, the most credible story on the marijuana-infused holiday remains the Waldos of California and their daily afternoon hazy smoke section. The story was originally published April 16th and shows a picture of the guy who wrote it. Okay, so that's it. That's our story, 420. It really wasn't that long. My commentary made it longer. Back to you.
Okay, well, yeah, I hope everyone has a good 420 if you're celebrating. I, however, will not
They'll stone you when they're trying to be so good. They'll stone you just like they said they would. Anyway.
Well, everyone's laying on their couch laughing about, I don't know, a stain on the wall. James Webb Telescope has discovered that there might be a failed star out in space. This is from space.com by Robert Lee. Using the James Webb Telescope, astronomers have made the surprising discovery of methane emissions coming from a brown dwarf or failed star. The find suggests that the brown dwarf features aurorae and might even be orbited by an undiscovered exomoon, researchers said. The JWST brown dwarf discovered is surprising because these cold and isolated worlds are not expected to be warm enough for methane to emit infrared light. The findings came about as a result of a JWST program to investigate 12 brown dwarfs. It suggests that these failed stars can generate aurorae similar to Earth's northern lights and southern lights, as well as those seen over Jupiter and Saturn. The lack of a star near the lonely brown dwarf may mean that the polar lights over it are being generated by a hidden active moon. The study team investigated the cold brown dwarf CWI SEP. I feel like that's September. Day 193518.59-154620 or WI 935. That sounds like a freaking radio station. Call me on W1935. Here live, 47 light years from Earth. While the mass of WI 935 is poorly constrained, ranging from 6 to 35 times that of Jupiter, it is known to have a surface temperature of around 400 degrees Fahrenheit or 204 degrees Celsius. Well, we're not moving there anytime soon. That is around the temperature of which you'd bake chocolate chip cookies or failed brownies. I don't know why they said that in in parentheses with a question mark. Failed brownies? Okay. Methane gas is expected in giant planets and brown dwarfs, but we usually see it absorbing light, not glowing. Jackie Faherty, team leader and senior educated manager at the American Museum of Natural History, said in a statement, "We were confused about what we were seeing at first, but ultimately that transformed into pure excitement at the discovery." Breaking space news, that's an ad. Brown dwarfs get their unfortunate nickname from failed stars because despite forming directly from a collapsing cloud of gas and dust like a star, they don't have enough mass to trigger the nuclear fusion of hydrogen to helium at their cores. This is the process that defines what a main sequence star is. So brown dwarfs, which have masses greater than the largest planets and smaller than the smallest star, technically fail to reach this status. Faherty and colleagues were looking at several brown dwarfs with the JWST when they noticed that the WI 935 was similar, but with one intriguing difference. It was emitting methane, something never seen around a failed star before. Modeling WI 935 revealed this particular brown dwarf also has a so-called temperature inversion. That's a phenomenon in which the atmosphere of a planet gets colder at deeper levels. Wow, that's so weird. So it's really, really, really warm at the surface, but then as you get deeper, it's like, oh, I could live here. You know, it's nice 30, 20 degree weather over here at the core. That's crazy. Wow, that blows my mind, right? Because that's that's like a thing that happens in magic, you know, like magic fantasy things. It's like, no, it can happen in real life. It can be hot and cold in the middle. How? Maybe they'll explain how. Or maybe they won't know. This is something usually seen in planets orbiting stars that heat their atmospheres from top down. But it wasn't expected for WI 935 because the brown dwarf is isolated and there's no external heat source. Heated from the top down, so there's something that's just emitting heat, like a hot moon, and the hot moon is heating the planet, I guess? I don't know. We were pleasantly shocked when the model clearly predicted a temperature inversion, team member and University of Hertfordshire scientist Ben Birmingham said in the statement, but we also had to figure out where the extra upper atmosphere hill was coming from. Oh, there's a really cool composite image of Jupiter. That's cool. To solve the mystery, the team looked closer to home at the solar system's gas giants, Jupiter and Saturn. Both of these gas giants, have methane emissions, and both have atmospheres that demonstrate temperature inversion. I didn't know that. Why didn't I learn that in science class? I took too much environmental science and not enough astronomy, I guess. For Jupiter and Saturn, the cause of methane emissions and temperature inversion is aurorae, leading Faherty and the team to conclude that this was just a JWST had detected around W1935. The big question is, what is driving the aurorae at W1935? This is an issue because solar wind, the stream of charged particles from the sun, is the major driver of aurorae for Jupiter, Saturn, and Earth. These charged strikes the planet's magnetic field and travel down field lines, interacting with particles in the atmosphere. It heats the upper layers of the atmosphere and causes the emission of light near the planet's poles. With no host star to blast WI935 with stellar winds, however, this process can't be a major driver of the lonely brown dwarf's aurora. However, the aurora of Jupiter and Saturn have a secondary mirror driver in the form of a charged particle streaming into the gas giant as a result of their active moons, spewing material into space. For instance, Jupiter's moon, Io, is the most volcanic body in the solar system, spewing lava dozens of miles into space, while the Saturn moon, Enceladus spits geysers into space that contain water vapor and other material that simultaneously freezes and boils when it hits space. Thus, the aurora of WI 935 with no star or stellar winds indicates that the brown dwarf might be orbited by an active moon. More evidence will be needed before scientists can confirm the existence of a brown dwarf moon for the first time. Until then, these initial indications offer insight into just how influential the JWST has been since it started sending its observations of the universe back to Earth in the summer of 2022. Every time an astronomer points JWST at an object, there's a chance of a new mind-blowing discovery, Fahati concluded. Methane emissions was not on my radar when we started this project, but now that we know it can be there, the explanation for it is so enticing. I'm constantly on the lookout for it. That's part of how science moves forward. The team's research was published today, or I guess when this article was published, April 17th, in the Journey Nature. So if you want to check out more information about dwarf planets and how there's one different dwarf planet that's emitting aurora at its poles, check out that article, I guess that research paper in the journal Nature if you have access to it. And there you go. Fun science, fun science, fun science.
Science is fun to learn.
Yeah, sure is.
It's fun to learn, and it's fun to try to figure out what you're reading, huh? Sometimes it's like, I was like reading things cold and like, what are they saying?
Yeah, I mean, this one was pretty straightforward, right? Planet is warm, but at the top and not in the middle. What the hell? That's not how we've seen it before. Usually you need something to make it hot, and it doesn't have a star to make it hot. So what the hell's going on?
Yeah, that's weird. You probably don't have a star emitting a lot of radio waves either, right?
Yeah, no,
or at least a close
no star.
star.
It's just floating out in space. It's just a dwarf planet just floating by itself.
Maybe it's a spaceship full of aliens, and we just can't
that's the
detect
exhaust from the engines. Yeah.
That's right. That's what it is, man. It's a Death Star. It's Darth Vader. It's he just hasn't matured yet. Remember, it's I don't know, whatever.
It's coming for us.
I'm not a big Star Wars buff. I'm just throwing shit out there.
That's my story.
Okay, I guess we're all right. So in sad news, Dickey Betts has died at the age of 80. This is from AP News. Allman Brothers Band co-founder and legendary guitarist Dickey Betts dies at the age of 80. Written by Stephen Wine and Russ Bynum. Or Ross, as his friends call him. Dickey Betts, who died at the age of 80, was born a rambling man. He left home at 16 to join the circus and became a renowned guitarist touring the world with the Allman Brothers Band. He wrote the group's biggest hit, Ramblin' Man, and remained on the road until he reached the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Betts died at his home in Osprey, Florida. His manager of 20 years, David Sparrow, said by phone he had been battling cancer for more than a year and had a chronic obstructive pulmonary disease, Sparrow said. He was surrounded by his whole family and he passed peacefully. They didn't think he was in any pain, he said. Betts shared the lead guitar duties with Dwayne Allman in the original Allman Brothers Band to help give the group its unique sound and creative new genre, Southern rock. The band blended blues, country, R&B, and jazz with 60s rock to produce a distinct sound that influenced the hosts of major acts including Leonard Skinner, ZZ Top, Fish, Jason Isbell, and Chris Stapleton, among many others. How about Bob Dylan? He influenced Bob Dylan. How about that? My first concert was Dickey Betts at Coleman's in Rome, New York in 1983. Blues rock guitarist Joe Bonamassa said in an Instagram post Thursday, crediting Betts with inspiring his favorite electric guitar model. Blew my mind and made me want a Les Paul. Other tributes came from members of the Allman Brothers Band extended family. Guitarist Derek Trucks and his wife, bandmate Susan Tedeschi, posted on their Instagram account that Betts was one of the best to ever do it. Of course, Derek Trucks is the son of their former drummer, nephew of the former drummer of the Allman Brothers Band, Brooks Trucks. Trucks actually joined the Allman Brothers Band in 1999 as a guitarist. He's a slide guitar player also, like Dwayne Allman. And it says here, Uncle Butch was one of the band's 2 founding drummers. Bassist Barry Dwayne Oakley, son of Allman Brothers founding bassist Barry Oakley, honored his uncle Dickey on Facebook, saying, "If not for him, I don't think I would have be a touring musician. The cat in the hall will never be forgotten. I will always be honored, not only for a wonderful life you lived, but the wonderful music you left behind, and for all of us to share and remember." Founded in 1969, the Allmans were a pioneering jam band, trampling the traditional formula of a 3-minute pop song by performing lengthy compositions in concert and on record. The band was also notable as a biracial group from the Deep South. Dwayne Allman died in a motorcycle accident in 1971, and Barry Oakley was killed in a motorcycle crash in the following year. Actually, on the same exact day the following year. It was on somebody's birthday. I forget whose birthday it was. But yeah, Dwayne Allman died in a motorcycle crash. Their bass player died exactly 1 year later in a motorcycle crash. That left Betts and Allman's younger brother Greg as the band's leaders, but they frequently clashed, and substance abuse caused further dysfunction. The band broke up at least twice before reforming and has had more than a dozen lineups. The Allman Brothers Band was included in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame was inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame in 1995 and earned a Lifetime Achievement Grammy Award in 2012. Betts left the group for good in 2000. He also played solo with his own band, Great Southern, which included his son, guitarist Dwayne Betts, which is obviously his son is named after Dwayne Allman. And they have a photo here, so I'm not going to read the caption. Forrest Richard Betts was born December 12, 1943, and raised in the Bradenton, Florida area near the Highway 41 he sang about in Ramblin' Man. His family had lived in the area since the mid-19th century. A descendant of Canadian fiddlers, Betts was listening to a string of bands before he even started school. He developed a fondness for country, bluegrass, and western swing, and played the ukulele and banjo before focusing on electrical guitar because it impressed him, but he usually did his own songwriting on an acoustic guitar. Betts changed schools often because his father worked construction, and those memories later inspired him to write Ramblin' Man. His first big road trip came when he joined the circus to play in a band. He returned home and with Oakley joined a group that became the Jacksonville, Florida-based band Second Coming. One night in 1969, Betts and Oakley jammed with Dwayne Allman, already a successful session musician, and his younger brother. Together they formed the Allman Brothers Band. Betts excelled at anything that caught his attention, according to the statement posted Thursday on the Allman Brothers Band official website. He was passionate in life, be it music, songwriting, fishing, hunting, boating, golf, karate, or boxing. So he's into karate just like Willie Nelson. That might have prolonged his life, being in the martial arts. I know Bob Dylan is big time into boxing too, and the martial arts to keep fit. So might be something to it. Living to be 80, no matter. Dickey Betts took a lot of drugs, and he'd live to be 80. I'm just saying. The group moved to Macon, Georgia, and released a self-titled debut in 1969. A year later came the album Idlewild South, highlighted by Betts' instrumental composition In Memory of Elizabeth Reed. Another great song, which soon became a concert favorite. Again, it's not even a song, it's an instrumental. The Allman Brothers bands would have hits with their instrumentals. That's pretty rare, right? Not just one. They had, I think, 3 instrumental hits. 1971, Double Live at Fillmore East, now considered among the greatest live albums in classic rock era. Was it on that one guy's list? You remember the guy who was making lists of the great concert films?
I don't think so.
If that's not on his list, he should not have it. If it's not on his list, he should tear up his list.
That guy.
Yeah.
David Morquan, man.
Oh, you remember his name.
Right.
Yeah, probably not. But I was saying, did he have Fillmore East on there? Because he didn't have Fillmore East on there. He might be really young because he doesn't remember probably. Because it was filmed in black and white, but it's still awesome. Their styles contrast. Oh, sorry. Let's get back to this. The 1971 double album, Fillmore East, is now considered among the greatest live albums of classic rock era. Was the Allmans' commercial breakthrough and cemented their performing reputation by showcasing their unique guitar interplay between Allman and Betts. Their styles contrasted, with Allman playing bluesy slide guitar while Betts solos and singing tugged the band toward country. When layered in harmony, their playing was especially distinctive. The group also had 2 drummers, Butch Trucks and John Lee Jamo Johansson, a black musician from Mississippi who helped integrate Southern rock. Not only that, they're all naked on one of their album covers. How about that one? Naked with a black guy. Ooh, in the South. Ooh. What are they, homosexuals? Duane Allman died 4 days after Fillmore was certified as a gold record, but the band carried on and crowds continued to grow. The 1973 album Brothers and Sisters rose to #1 on the charts and featured Ramblin' Man, with Betts singing the lead and bringing twang to the top 40. The song's intro suggested a fiddle tune, while the coda was inspired by Derek and the Dominoes' Layla, an earlier hit that featured Duane Allman. Oh, I gotta listen to the end of Ramblin' Man. Does that sound like Layla? I guess it's kind of played in the same style, but a little bit faster. Anyway, Ramblin' Man reached #2 on the singles charts and was kept on a #1 spot by Half Breed by Cher, who later married Gregg Allman. Betts' composition became a classic rock standard, with his soaring guitar reverberating in neighborhood bars around the country for decades. Ramblin' Man was the Allman's only top 10 hit, but Betts' catchy 7.5-minute instrumental composition, Jessica, recorded in 1972, also showed his knack for melodic hooks and became an FM radio staple. Painstaking in his approach to songwriting, Betts spent 2 months composing Jessica, which was inspired by the music of jazz guitar great Django Reinhardt. Betts also wrote or co-wrote some of Allman's other best-loved songs, including Blue Sky and Southbound. Dormant for most of the 1980s, the Allman Brothers Band launched a comeback in 1990 with Warren Haynes, joining Betts on guitar. Betts recorded 3 more studio albums and toured the band over the next decade, but he had acrimony split from the Allmans in 2000. His bandmates suspended the guitarist from the summer tour and issued a statement blaming creative differences. Betts said Gregg Allman and other members delivered the news in a fax, implying that he needed treatment for substance abuse. Betts took legal action and settled with the band in arbitration. The breakup was permanent. Gregg Allman and Butch Trucks died in 2017. After leaving the Allmans for good, Betts continued to play with his own group and lived in Bradenton area with his wife, Donna. So rest in peace, Dickey Betts, the Ramblin' Man. Of course, other great Allman Brothers songs most people know are for Midnight Rider, which was sung. Most songs are sung by Gregg Allman because he has that deep voice. Midnight Rider, which was probably written by Gregg Allman, but that's a big one. It's used on commercials. And of course, Whippin' Post, which is the Whippin' Post, One Way Out. Just go watch. If you want to watch a concert film, go watch Fillmore East. 1970. And that's it.
Highly recommended from Raj, the expert on all music.
No matter what David What's-His-Name said, I don't know if he covered it, but Fillmore East is the concert movie you should watch. If you want to watch them in chronological order and you want to watch a concert movie, I guess you would probably maybe watch Festival, from the Newport Folk Festival stuff that features Bob Dylan and Joan Baez and a lot of people like that. And of course, a lot of blues people play at the Folk Festival too. So those are pretty good. The early folk festival movies. But after that, I would go straight to Fillmore East for my rock and roll concert movie. You don't even have to like music to enjoy it. I'm telling you.
Sounds good. Okay, with that, let's go into more of culture, but we're not talking about great rockers that have unsadly passed. Instead, we're talking about the Taliban. Now, what does the Taliban have to do with anything? Well, Jennifer Lawrence and Malala are gonna fight them in the ring. No, I'm just kidding. This is from The Guardian with Catherine Shord. Strong women are not easy women, says Jennifer Lawrence. And a woman's life is lonely. So much of our experience cannot be shared or understood by men, and our rights are in their hands. That's why we need each other. The 2 other people on the video call not in agreement. One is Malala Yousafzai, Zai, who, with Lawrence, has produced a new documentary about the oppression of Afghan women by the Taliban after US troops withdrew in 2021. The other is Saha Mani, who directed it. Bread and Roses is also a story of 3 women. Sharifa incarcerates herself at home in accordance with new laws that ban women from school, work, or going out other than in certain chaperoned circumstances, wearing full body coverings. Zahra is a dentist whose activism lands her in jail. Taranum seeks refuge in Pakistan and mourns her homeland. Strong women are always lonely women, she says near the end of the film, bereft. No arguing with that today. That's why we're here, says Malala, because it is a lonely journey, and we are joining each other to share empathy and solidarity with all Afghan women. Mani hasn't returned to Kabul since the Taliban took control again. Seeing school friends married off as minors further spurred her to gain an education. Her own brother objected. You have to fight in your community, in your family, she says. Then once you enter a male-dominated society, they're not ready to accept you as someone who has a brain. So yes, it's really lonely. Today, of course, the situation is yet worse. You are born as a girl in Afghanistan, says Malala. The systematic gender oppression by the Taliban has decided your future for you. This is the worst form of discrimination. Women denied every basic right and opportunity. In fact, adds Mani, her film sanitizes current events. We see protesters attacked with water cannons. In reality, many were killed, kidnapped, and illegally detained. The situation is much worse than I say in the film. The genesis of Bread and Roses began 3 years ago, after Lawrence was appalled by a news report about the plight of these women, and by the prospect of being forgotten. I think it was really easy to be ruled by our constantly moving news cycle, she says. Less peppy, more sober, and later Nicole, more emotionally than familiar chat show charmer. By the time the information gets to us, it's been so distilled through our Western lens. Agreeing with Malala that storytelling is the soul of activism, Lawrence commissioned Mani to coordinate the shooting of first-person testimonies. Hopefully this movie, says Lawrence, made by Afghan women through their perspective at this moment, will mean it's not just a flash of a story in a pan. It is a resistance happening right now. These women need the world to witness this so that they are not suffering in vain. And we need to pressure our governments to hold the Taliban accountable. Progress has been slow. The US administration has not taken responsibility for the repercussions of its military retreat, or its military in general, like that. All that stuff happened for like years now. Western feminists tend to focus on matters of immediate domestic import and on identity politics rather than the massive and dramatic human rights abuse in the Middle East. I agree. Who gives a shit if, you think a man wants to be a woman? There's actual people suffering out there. Using she pronouns is not going to end your life, unlike in Afghanistan where having a she pronoun does basically end your life, as you know it. It is a reality that breaks your heart, says Malala. Why is there silence? Why is there inaction? Activists and storytellers cannot spend too much time thinking about it. The ultimate obligation lies with the general public, she believes. I think it's the job of people to hold their leaders to account and put more pressure on them. So I hope that people will begin to question their representatives and ask them what they have been doing. What do they mean when they say they're committed to gender equality? Those nice fancy words, when they don't take any action to protect women's rights and girls' education in Afghanistan. Why haven't they yet? Racism and ignorance certainly contribute, agrees Malala, ever measured and collected. Sometimes when people talk about Afghanistan or Pakistan, they assume that this is normal, expected. But when women are systematically oppressed, we should not excuse that based on religion and culture. Zahra, Shahra-Rifa, and Tarnom are trying to define themselves within their society and faith. Now a radical act, but less so 100 years ago, when female education and modern dress were encouraged, enforced, or child marriage abolished. All such reforms have been repealed, reinstated, and repealed again many times. I think culture is defined by people, Malala continues, and oftentimes women are not included in that. In the film, men are curiously absent. Even Zahra's fiancé, Omid, although tearful at the prospect of departure, does not visibly back her protests. Such inertia is standard, says Mani. In the midst of Afghan men, women's education is a women's problem, not theirs. Some are even enabled by the lockdown. One woman sobs reporting beating by her husband, who has been liberated by the isolation. A WHO report 9 years ago found 90% of Afghan women had experienced domestic violence. Mani's previous film, 2018's 1,000 Girls Like Me, told of a young Afghan woman seeking to expose the abuse within her family and the failing of the country's judicial system. Sexism also helps account for the muted international response, says Mani. Had men been the victims, we could have expected a different tenor of outcry. What Afghan women face today had not come from God. They are victims of male politicians who made a wrong decision, and children and women pay the price. At one point, women on a march are threatened by unseen male hecklers. Go home and shut up or we will kill you, they say. One woman sickeningly slaps him down. You are desperate for power over us. How much is that a universalism? All of this is universal, says Lawrence. This misogyny is dangerous, and the paralysis that comes over us when we don't know what to do or how to help is dangerous. Yes, I say, the Taliban believing like this is not unexpected, the tacit complicity of loved one fills the greater betrayal. Or perhaps that's too strong a word. Not a strong enough word, says Lawrence. Of course it's a betrayal. We of course felt that betrayal when our Supreme Court turned over Roe v. Wade. How could you not see me as an equal? It doesn't decrease the amount of abortion, it just increases the amount of death. Women die. It's a massive betrayal. The strength of Lawrence's response to the rollback was reported at the time. Her home state of Kentucky was one of the first to ban abortions after the 2022 ruling, reopening a rift within her Republican family that had begun during Trump's presidency, in which Lawrence had been trying to repair since giving birth to her son, Cy, now 3. I just worked so hard in the last 5 years to forgive my dad and my family and try to understand, she told Vogue in 2022. I've tried to get over it and I really can't. I can't fuck with people who aren't political anymore. It's just too dire. Politics are killing people. How could you raise a daughter from birth and believe that she doesn't deserve equality or just human control over her body? That body's mine now, forever. Why? Because you were born with 2 X chromosomes. Woohoo! That's all you need. One of the outcomes of the ire today is that she refers to her day job as purely just a way to be able to get a film like this made. Using her platform makes me feel a little hopeless, but it's something. Obviously, it was scary to reach out to Sahra and offer to get her funds and equipment. There were many people in my life that didn't want me to get involved in something that would make the Taliban not like me. It's scary and it's overwhelming. But the scariest possible outcome is ignoring it and pretending like it's not happening. Lawrence's investment in the project is also evident when she begins weeping. This comes when speaking about people whose rights are taken away and their homes are stolen. These people have to be separated from their families. Nobody wants to go to a refugee camp in Germany where they have to share a tent with thousands of people. The living situation is so dire that a part of me just can't even believe that it's just unbelievable. That we allow this to happen? Yes. That this is the terrorist response. Little boys are easier to manipulate into becoming young soldiers if their mothers aren't educated. Will they stop education for young girls from 6th grade? It's an unbelievable way to treat humans, your fellow citizens. The women who are your wives, who are your mothers, your sisters. It's just overwhelming. Lawrence's voice shakes. I don't understand, and I sympathize with the freeze response. I have to fight it myself, but the alternative is so much more horrifying. Because the Taliban is a terrorist organization to the world, and the longer we ignore the rights of women in our country and countries around the world, it makes the world a more dangerous place. This, agrees Mani, is where the international strategy of silence seems perverse as well as cruel. Compassion should be a luxury, but other countries should seek to curb the Taliban through self-interest too. We shouldn't trust them. If Afghan women are paying the price today, the rest of the world may pay tomorrow. We don't want something horrible like 9/11 to happen again. Instead, she says, the West appears to be funding its own destruction. We handed part of our world to terrorists and told them, you can have it. Plus, we will pay you millions of dollars every week. The Taliban receives a lot of financial support from international communities without any accountability. He leans forward and urgently and angrily says, so what is the game? There is a horror happening. What is the story behind all of this? So, there's your news. People are still suffering in Afghanistan. the women especially, and the children, not even allowed to learn arithmetics or how to read. Because, hey, if you're smart enough, you can tell your son to not be an asshole. Instead, we'll just make sure you're all dumb so that you don't know any better, and that we can make all your sons into soldiers. Little soldiers that will listen to everything we say because they don't got mama to tell them any better. So, it sucks, it's awful, and I guess the best way you can support is not only yelling at your local representatives to do something, but also watching the film and, absorbing the truth of the matter of what's happening in Afghanistan for yourself. That's my story. You are muted.
Oh, I am muted. Okay. That's why religion is synonymous with oppression.
Yes.
Right? You let religion in your government, pretty soon you're being told to do things for arbitrary reasons that nobody ever explains to you. The Taliban is just another example. Yeah, you could use the Bible and do the same thing. You really could. I mean, the Bible's full of that stuff, right?
Yeah.
All right, this day in history.
Some people do use the Bible. That's what the Roe versus Wade was, using the Bible to...
Oh, yeah, that's what your Christian nationalists are after. They're already banned abortion, right? Now, and this day in history, getting on to things that already happened. In 1772, English economist David Ricardo gave systemized and classical form to the rising social science of economics. In the 19th century, is believed to have been born on or about this day. Case, not all that famous, and we don't know when he was born, but hey. In 1927, American actress Mae West was sentenced to 10 days in jail, convicted of obscenity and corrupting the morals of youth with her portrayal of a prostitute in the Broadway play Sex, which she also wrote, the publicity has made her nationally known. So she got famous by getting thrown in jail for being acting like a prostitute. Not even being a prostitute, just acting at a stage. Okie dokie. Yeah, there's your Puritans in full effect.
Yeah.
1943. The Warsaw Ghetto Uprising, an act of resistance by Polish Jews in their Nazi occupation, began this day and was called 4 days later on May 16th. And that was right in the middle of World War II, and I'm sure they all got locked up in Dachau or Auschwitz.
Something
1960, students in South Korea, something horrible. 1960, students in South Korea began demonstrating against President Syngman Rhee, who had declared victory in a national election, which many claimed was marred by fraud. The unrest grew, ultimately forcing Rhee to resign. 1975, Aryabhata, the first uncrewed Earth satellite built in India, was launched from the Soviet Union by a Russian-made rocket. 1993, this is the day of two tragedies. 1993, after a 51-day standoff with U.S. federal agents, some 80 members of the Millennials Branch Davidian religious group perished in a fire at their compound near Waco, Texas. 2 years later, on what was the worst act of terrorists in the U.S. history up to that time, a truck bomb nearly destroyed the Alfred P. Murrah Federal Building in Oklahoma City, killing 168, including many children, and injuring 500 people. And of course, this idiot did it in response, he said, to Waco. So that's why he did it on that specific date. So maybe we should be watching for terrorist shit every April 19th, and I think we are. I think that's one of them days that Homeland Security is heightened alerts. 2005, Cardinal Joseph Ratzinger, who was elected to succeed Pope John Paul II, who had died 2 weeks earlier. Ratzinger took the name Benedict XVI. Famously, wasn't he a Nazi youth? Was he? Something like that.
I'm not sure. I don't know about that.
These people bother me, these religious people. They always want to tell you how to do, but they're so confused themselves. How are you a Nazi youth, 2018, King Mswati III announced that he was changing his country's name from the Kingdom of Swaziland to the Kingdom of Eswatini, just because we wanted people to make it harder to pronounce? I'm not exactly sure. Featured event in this day. In 1775, the American Revolution began. Day after April of 18th, Paul Revere's Ride launched on this day in 1775, the battles of Lexington and Concord. The American Revolution was an effort by 13 British colonies in North America with the help from France, Spain, and the Netherlands to win their independence. So the United States Revolutionary War began this day, 1775. What is it? 249 years ago.
Woohoo!
Charles Darwin's birthday today. No, it's not his birthday. Charles Darwin died in this day, April 19th, 1882, in Down, England. At the age of 73, he was born February 12th, 1809, in Shrewsbury, England. Other birthdays today. Dudley Moore, British actor, comedian, and musician, born in 1935. Joseph Estrada, President of the Philippines, born in 1937. Mukesh Ambani, Indian businessman, born in 1957. Rivaldo, British athlete, born in 1972. And Maria Sharapova, Russian tennis player, born in 1987. Happy birthday to all you folks. And what day is it today? It's National Hanging Out Day. And it shows people hanging their clothes on the line. So you're going to be saving water. We talked about saving water earlier. You can save electricity by air drying your clothes.
Yep, that's true.
I'm sure that's very...
You can also probably save water by hand washing your clothes, too.
Yeah, and they'll be just nice and unclean. I don't know. Yeah, you can hand wash them. I mean, the best... You got time in your hands, hand wash your clothes.
Doing laundry and stuff, what you need to do is you need to buy non-synthetic fabrics that have an auto-cleaning feature, like cotton and... Linen and wool are very self-cleaning fabrics. You shouldn't need to wash them. So
I think back to 100 years ago when people couldn't even do that. They had to hand wash it.
Yeah.
Or a hand wringer. We had a hand wringer washer. That was kind of... National Oklahoma City Bombing Commemoration Day. That's pretty obvious why.
Yep. It's
National Garlic Day. So keep away those vampires and the werewolves. It's National Clean Out Your Medicine Cabinet Day. That ought to be fun. Just don't take everything that's in your medicine cabinet. National North Dakota Day, which I think is, again, totally arbitrary. They make. And National Amaretto Day is a alcohol made from almonds, which I'm not a big fan of. I think that's the first
thing alcohol I ever drank.
What's that?
That's the first alcohol I ever drank.
Was amaretto?
Yeah, it was when I was doing that movie shoot, and there was like this old couple, and they're like, "You want to try some?" So I tasted it, and I was like, "It tastes like alcohol." I did not taste the almonds at all. So
yeah, it's just whatever. I'm not a drinker anymore. Those are your days for today.
Not a drinker anymore.
April 19th, 2024. I'm before coffee.
Okay, well, yet again, I'll say this again. If you are celebrating 420, have a good one. Make sure you stay safe out there. Don't forget to subscribe to the YouTube channel so you can see more of these episodes. And we will
listen to some Allman Brothers.
Yeah,
just sit down and listen to some Allman Brothers.
Listen to some good classic rock. I guess it's classic rock now.
The first Southern rock band. In fact, they did it the right way. They rented a house and they spent 2 years rehearsing, and then they went on tour.
Yeah. Dedicated musicians to their art.
Yes.
Listen to those guys and those guys. We will see you on Monday for our Mucking Fun Day. Have a good weekend. I just realized I never downloaded. Did I download it? I don't think I downloaded it.
Oh. All right, I can kill some time.
I put it up, but I didn't download it, so I could actually put it on our mic drop. Give me a sec.
I can sing a song.
To do something. Okay.
Lord, I was born a rambling man, trying to make a living and doing the best I can. When it's time for leaving, I hope you understand. I was born a rambling man.
Your mic drop moment.
Be sure to hit the like, subscribe, and notify buttons, and follow our other channels, Toxic Alley, History of Gravy, and Scratchy Old Records.